Hi everyone. Today I'm delighted to be joined by a very good friend of Super Hogs, Brindy Bringhurst. Brindy, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you, Leo.
We had the joy of your company last year, and you helped contribute to a blog we wrote about predictions for 2023. But we were so impressed by that, we wanted you to come and turn it into a bit of an interview chat today. So thanks for that. For anyone who doesn't know Brindy, and you should, she's the founder of Airbnb, a full-time STR coach, mentor, influencer, and most importantly, host. So, Brindy knows a thing or two about the industry. Brindy, let's take you back to the dizzying depths of probably November, December last year, which probably feels like a lifetime ago already. But you pulled some trends for us and thoughts that what might happen in this year. And the first one was creating more opportunities to differentiate yourself on Airbnb. Can you expand on that and explain a bit more what you meant?
Yeah, yeah. I paid a lot of attention to that big update that Airbnb rolled out about halfway through the year with categories and pushing categories. And so, of course, that's only on Airbnb's platform, but I think that's something that will sort of make its way out where it's more important than ever to have things that differentiate your property from others nearby. And it can be good design or it can be something, an experience, a cold plunge in the backyard or, you know, close proximity to a popular attraction. But I think more than ever, it's really important to differentiate because there is a lot more supply than perhaps there's been in the past. And so really important to differentiate from the competition to be successful, I think, in the coming year, more so than perhaps it's been in the past.
That's very interesting to me. So it's put simply for me, how I'm reading this is, look, it's like stand out in a crowd, right? Like if you do have space for the plunge pool, if you do have space for the hot tub, it's worth investing that cash in it because it's going to make the difference.
Yep. And I think it's really important for each host to decide what is the right thing to bring in to differentiate for your specific property in your specific location. It might not always be a hot tub or it might not always be, the cold plunge. And so really deciding what's going to be the smartest direction to go with your specific home.
This idea that Airbnb are going to allow hosts to upload a video of their listing. This is interesting.
Yeah, that one I feel like I went out on a limb a little bit because I have not heard anything that would indicate that that's coming. I get a lot of questions from new hosts asking if they can upload a video, and just seeing the direction things are going and how much more popular short form videos are now than they've been in the past. I feel like it's just a matter of time before platforms like Airbnb are going to allow you to upload a little quick 3-second video to your listing. So I think that would be an awesome way to show off properties and homes. And so I think it would be a fun little thing. So we'll see if I'll be really excited if that one comes true.
Yeah, I think that's very cool. So let's broaden that in general, right? That's to any platform, really, isn't it? Or even your direct booking website. It's that idea of having a thumbnail video. I think that's a great idea.
Totally.
Like a sort of a point of view camera showing you round and then ending in the hot tub. I think it's a great idea.
Right, and you absolutely see it on direct booking websites already. That's already there. And so, yeah, I bet, maybe Airbnb would be the first to roll out something like that. And then the other OTs might be quick to follow. I don't know.
I like it. Now, you've also got a section here, which I'm interested to talk to you about, which is making 2023 another year which continues to see a rise in direct bookings. What's made you say that?
Yeah. A few things like that's really coming from my own experience as a property manager. I'm noticing the owners who I manage homes for and for my own homes that I own, just realizing the power in allowing for direct bookings and having more control over those stays. And, everything from if there's any type of damage, being able to decide how to handle that and not have to go through a claims process that is ultimately going to be determined by another organization and not you deciding what they owe or how to be reimbursed. So I think a lot of it revolves around concerns over being able to be reimbursed for damages, and then also reviews and the importance of being able to protect that and not be able to and be able to steer clear of if somebody damages your home, you should be able to request reimbursement for that without fear of a bad review being posted and then having to fight that. And that's something that you don't have very much control over with some of the bigger OTAs, whereas if with a direct booking site you do. And you earn more money. It is difficult. In the past, it's been a lot more difficult to do direct bookings because you can't rely on something like air cover. But now there's some really excellent solutions, Superhog being my favorite, where you can easily, there's other ways that you can confirm people's identity without having to do a super invasive background check it's not near as expensive as it's maybe been in the past. You can plug it into a direct booking site really easily. So for me, that's what's allowed me to really take that leap, is realizing, there's people, there's organizations and tools out there to help me do this in a safe way. Whereas in the past, I've 100% relied on things like air cover to protect me if something goes wrong. So I think that, and there was one other thing, and it might come back to me.
Well, I think that's a very good one, actually. I think you focused, on a really interesting element there, is this idea that to be completely in control of your own destiny, you want to be taking a portion of your booking, certainly to begin with, on your own direct booking website, and then more generally diversify your channels, right? Because actually, people will be looking at your business from both sides. Like if your direct booking website grows, your hosting business grows, which will help you grow more, which will help you get more inventory, because they'll be able to see that your hosts are giving you a 5-star review on Google or whatever it might be, right? Or that's going to put you up those search rankings. Same way with your direct booking website. Someone leaves you a review and that's going to push you up those search rankings. And that's only going to help grow you and move you away from being a kind of Airbnb, Booking.com, Vrbo business to being your own property business.
Right. And I think earlier I used the word of you have more power. And what I think is a better word is you have more control. That's really what it's about, is just control over your business. And, an unfortunate situation that happened to me last year in 2022 is I had a guest accuse me of having a camera in the property, and it was an absolutely false claim. It's also really hard to prove that you don't have something. So long story short, that listing was removed from the platform it was on for 3 weeks. And wow. I was with that particular property. I didn't have any type of direct booking site up. I didn't even have it on any other OTA. So that just took that property offline for 3 weeks. Happens to be a rental arbitrage property. So it's not even something that I'm investing in. So anyways, hard lesson learned. And that's where I really, learned the hard way, the value in having other options for people to book, because if I had a direct booking site, maybe I could have gotten a couple of bookings through there while it was offline.
Yeah. So, and you have that evidence of it being a real listing with real business built up in it, because you own all of the data and the information about that listing. Yeah. So you're not just blown off course by one platform taking a certain decision. Yeah. That's it. Being in control of your own destiny. Yeah. I think it's a really interesting one. I think the rise in direct bookings is definitely set to continue. Maybe even because the customer themselves, the consumer, the guest, whatever you want to call them, is also getting more savvy and realizing that if they want to go and stay in a particular area, they can just search the term, short-term rental, enter, that neighborhood, and then get that range of offerings. And that's why I mentioned that idea of being up high on the search rankings. There's a lot you can do there to make sure that you're displaying your brand. And I think perhaps that understanding that you probably can get a better deal, either you negotiate directly or you'll just see a cheaper price if you go direct, is also penetrating as well.
Totally. I think it's very interesting. I barely rolled out my direct booking websites the end of last year. And just in that time, it's like a month ago, I've had more people, return guests, so people who have stayed with me and then coming to me asking, is there a way to book direct? And that, I wasn't seeing that. I have seen it before, but I wasn't seeing it near as often. I've seen it a handful of times in just the last few weeks. And I think it's quite interesting. Maybe it's because I now have those direct bookings, that direct booking site. And so there's like an energy thing happening where people are picking up on that. Or it's just showing that there truly is a rise in savvy travelers, savvy guests who recognize that a lot of hosts do have ways that they might prefer you to book where the host earns more money and the guest pays less. So
I think that's right. The rise of the savvy traveler, and back, to a saying that's as old as time, which is build it and they will come. So
yeah, I love that.
I'm glad you built it. Final one, we could talk all day, I'm sure, because it's such an interesting topic. But this one particularly is something I don't know much about, so I'm really interested to pick your brains on this one. So this idea, this rise in the owner host segment of the short-term rental market and a decrease in the investor owned segment. Can you explain what your thinking is there?
Yeah, it was another risky call to make, but it's based off of my own attitude a little bit, and then the other investors and partners that I speak to. But I think it's a lot harder to find a property to purchase that that turns a profit on as a short-term rental now than it was even a year ago, and then especially 2-3 years ago. And so it's just not as appealing for investors right now as it has been in the past. And I don't think that's necessarily going to keep them away completely, but it's just not as interesting of an investment as maybe it has been in the past because of a combination of interest rates, rising home prices. It's just kind of where we're at. So I think what we'll see more of is people who have their family home that they've lived in for 20 years that are then moving. And then maybe instead of selling that home, maybe they decide to turn it into a short-term rental. And maybe you have the retired couple who decides they're going to travel or spend half the year with their kids somewhere else. And maybe they decide instead of just letting the house sit like maybe they would have done in the past, maybe they turn it into a short-term rental. And so I think you're going to see more people who are transitioning their current properties and current homes into short-term rentals. And I think that's what's going to make up the bulk of new properties and homes that you see available, and less of the investor who, is buying 20 homes in one region and then putting them all up on Airbnb. So I don't know. That one it could be the opposite, but that does feel like the direction I see it going.
I think that's a really interesting one, Brindy, because you're right. It's the market is moving in a different direction, and I think there's much more incentive for people to hold and stick with what they're doing, and also then monetize it's back to the roots of the industry. The tech-enabled history of the industry, which was built out of the last financial crisis, right? This idea that you might want to rent the spare room, you might want to turn the annex in the garden, you might want to actually go and live somewhere else cheaper and have someone in your main home for 6 months. Yep. I think that's an interesting call. I'd love it if it was true, because it'll make for an even more interesting pool of listings, right?
Yeah, I think the charming thing about Airbnb when it very first begun was the likelihood of going and staying somewhere that is a family home that has been turned into a vacation rental. There is something that is sometimes lost when you have these mega investors that push out 30 homes versus somebody that is really putting a lot of effort into turning their family home into something that they want to share with people. So there's also a lot, there's exceptions on every side, but I think that I
agree, and I think that a different customer will want a different thing as well, right? So that's the beauty of it. It's the variety. So there will be someone who's like, this is my 2-week holiday and I want to go somewhere with lots of trinkets and personal things and oil and a fully stocked kitchen with oil, salt and pepper and a family, basically a home swap without going the other way. Yeah. And there will be a certain segment of travelers that doesn't want anything to do with that and just wants a really nice, clean, chic piece of accommodation. So that diversity is, I think, what helps us win the battle against hotels, because we're all in the lodgings game, and also makes our interesting so very exciting. But again, it's it's peaks and troughs, isn't it? So as the emphasis comes on that, it might take a certain investor out, and then market picks up, all those investors come back in.
I love that. I think that is key. It is diversity. You really want a little bit of all of it. And I know for myself, sometimes I want to stay in the house that I know is only ever been a short-term rental, and I know exactly what I'm going to expect. And then sometimes I want to go stay in the cozy guest house that who knows what's going to happen.
Perfect. Well, Brindy, that's great. I didn't tell you this before we started, but I'm going to put a placeholder in your diary to come and talk to me at the end of the year, and we can see what came true and what didn't.
Ooh, I like that. All right. Well, I like that. All right.
Okay, thanks for your time, Brindy.
Yep, thank you.